Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are so glad you are here. Hello. We're going to be getting started in just about 2 minutes. So please do come on in, make yourself comfortable. We've got about an hour together. This is our monthly decluttering club workshop. So if you are comfortable using chat and you want to say hello, please do. We welcome you in. And I think some of us are getting to know one another. And so that's always fun. So welcome. And we'll join you in chat. Hello, Joe's here. There's Debbie. Welcome. You're very welcome. I'm so glad you're enjoying. If this is your first Declutter Club session with us, let us know so we can give you an extra warm welcome. And we're welcoming all of our friends back. So we're glad you're here. We're going to be getting started in just about 60 seconds. So settle in. Whatever you need to make yourself comfortable. You'll notice this is a webinar format, which is a little bit different than maybe other other programs you've attended. So I can't see you or hear you, but hopefully you can see and hear me. So that's the most important part as we're welcoming everyone in. This monthly Declutter Club workshop tends to get a few hundred attendees, which is the reason we do it in a webinar format. So you're in good company. There's a lot of friends here. If you're comfortable in chat, you can say hello. We saw Debbie and Joe and Kathy, Deb from Connecticut. Denise is here. Hello, Jen. Linda from Toronto, Canada, originally Massachusetts. We're glad you're here. Robin and lost count, like just so many times you've joined us. We're glad you're here. Marcia and Connie and Joy. Penny and Linda, hello, welcome. Kimberly, Kim, oh, California, one of my favorite places. I have an office out in Los Angeles. Robert's here as well. Great to have you tuned in. So we are officially going to get started. It is the top of the hour. And that means it's time to get started. We have 100, we're going to tick over the 200 mark as our next attendee comes in. So with 200 plus attendees here, you know you are in great company. So you're not alone. And if you're dealing with a lot of paperwork, then this is absolutely going to be the Declutter Club that you'll be really happy to join, but there are others coming and I'll tell you about our other topics in just a bit. So welcome. We are glad you're here. This is File, Pile, Sort, Shred. So this month, the month of July, we're focusing in on the piles and files of paperwork. So we're going to talk about which papers to keep, which ones we might not need to hold on to. And if we're just meeting for the first time, it's lovely to make your acquaintance. I hope we become fast friends. My name is Jamie Novak. You can see more about me at jamienovak.com. And much of what we're talking about during our time together is going to be the coming from the pages of Keep This, Toss That. So if you are following along, we would love to have you pick up that book. It's available to borrow from the library or wherever books are. So there we have it. All right, I am getting our chat up on the screen, so hopefully I can see that easily in case you do have questions along the way, because sometimes we do. So as we're getting our friends logged in, we've got a lot to cover. Welcome. And yes, we're going to start that share so you can see the pictures along the way. And here we go. So file, pile, sort, shred. This is our topic for July. And we do hope to have you come back next month for a totally different topic. So this is our Declutter Club done in a webinar format because there are hundreds of attendees. So it just keeps it very organized. You can see me, I cannot see you, but we can chat together. We meet the first Thursday of every month. You can register for future presentations at the Chelmsford Library, chelmsfordlibrary.org. And next month, we're meeting on August 7th at 7 p.m. New York, New Jersey time. And that's going to be how to sell your stuff. So we're going to be talking about like Poshmark and yard sales and how to make it profitable and easy and not too much tech involved and keep you safe too. So lots to cover next month, but for tonight, it's all about the paper. So if your paper pile looks a little something like this, and you're kind of giving it the side eye going, what am I going to do with all these papers? You're definitely tuned into the right presentation, and we are very glad that you decided to join us. During our time together this evening, we'll be together for just about an hour. Please stay as long as you can. If you have a conflict on your schedule and need to leave early, or if you ever need to join late, please know that's always available. So we're just glad the time that you can spend with us. We're going to be looking at the 3 questions that I like to ask, and they are highlighted in the book, Keep This, Toss That. There's an entire checklist in the paperwork chapter. So if you have the book, you can follow along. And we're going to look at 3 questions: personal documents, papers to keep, papers to shred. We will always have our favorite part of the presentation, which is that live tidy up moment where I set a timer and invite you to join us. If you're able to join us doing a little decluttering activity, and then I don't teach anything during that so that you can focus. And then we're going to touch on the idea of archiving paperwork. So I hope you're as excited about solving the paperwork piles as I am. And let's get started. Now, quick reminder, we only have an hour together. So we will not be able to solve all the papers tonight, but we can absolutely make progress. We can get started. And that, I think, is the most important part for so many of us. So we won't solve it all tonight, but we'll give you solutions along the way. And then, of course, we're going to get started, which so many times is the most difficult part. What to do first, how to stay motivated, and what to do with all the papers. So that is our plan. Let's jump in with the questions. There are 3 questions that I try to sort of cycle through when I have a piece of paper in my hand. So I want to share them with you now because I think they are really going to guide us in terms of what to hold on to, what maybe you don't need to hold on to, and if you're keeping it, where are you going to put it so you can find it again. Let us know in the chat with a yes or a why. Do you put things away and then we can't find them again? I hope I'm not the only one. I'm going to start us off with a big yes. Here we go. Yes. And a couple of exclamation points. I definitely do that. So you're in good company. You're not alone if you do it. I certainly do it. I've put important papers in safe places, and some of them I still haven't found. Here we go. Sometimes in lots of yeses. So thanks for chiming in. It makes us all feel very connected. So what is this paper trying to tell me? So this is a great question to ask first. There's a lot going on in the world, in our lives, in our day, in the moment, right? And so we pick up a piece of paper, or I should say, I pick up a piece of paper, and I'm trying to process what the paper is trying to tell me. And sometimes because I'm just like almost mentally overloaded, there's like no more space for that moment, I'll put the paper back down to deal with later, which is usually not the best scenario for things because then we can lose the paper. So here's the idea. What is the paper telling me? So as an example, I received a letter from the bank. It was a very formal looking letter. I imagined that it had something to do with one of my accounts. And in a way it did. It was an announcement from the bank that they were changing their customer service number. I don't know why. They didn't explain why. It had been the same 800 number for all the years I've had the account. And then just, surprise, we're changing the number. So that's what the paper was telling me. So did I need that information? I suppose. But normally what I would have done is just take that letter, put it on the pile of all the other papers to be dealt with at a later date. So this is why we're asking the questions. What was the paper telling me? The customer service number was changing. So all the papers are telling you something. This is a recipe of how to make a particular dish. This is an invitation to an event. This is the summer concert series about concerts in the park in your town. It's telling you something. This is your account statement. This is your current balance. It's telling you something. We sent your insurance through and your insurance paid the bill. It's telling you what was paid. So the papers are usually informing us about something. It's telling us something. So that's question one. What is it telling me? Most times I can understand them. Sometimes I have to get more information because sometimes I'm not even sure what they're sending me or why. But what is this paper telling me? So from there, we can look at question number two, which is, can I get this information easily elsewhere? But easily is really the key, right? So that letter telling me about the 800 number change, well, it's on their website. It'll be on the next statement that they send me. If I call the old number, it will probably play a recording directing me to the new number. So can I get this information again easily? I would think so. Now, sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes it's a family handwritten recipe, in which case it only exists in that one way. No, I could not get that information again easily. When we start talking this evening about things like bank statements and investment statements, some of you may tell me, oh, yes, I could totally get that again easily. I can call the 800 number. I can log in online. And then there's going to be others of us here tonight that go, oh no, not easy. I don't have easy access at home. I'm not comfortable with the computer. I don't have a printer. I couldn't print it out easily. So there's no real right or wrong answer here. I'm just encouraging you to walk through these three questions to help us better evaluate which papers to keep and which to toss. Because in just a bit, I'm going to share a staggering statistic with you about the papers we keep. So what is the paper telling me? Can I get this information easily elsewhere? And then finally, where would I look for this? So let's go back to the example of the letter with the 800 number being changed for customer service. What is it telling me? There's been a phone number change. Can I get it easily elsewhere? I believe so, but where would I look for it? Well, I have that phone number programmed into my phone in case I need to call the bank. So what I would have done before would be bring in the mail, let it sit. It kind of marinates a little bit, right? Then I finally open the mail, read the letter, not quite sure what to do, put the letter down to be dealt with another time. New plan is bring in the mail, go through the mail during my office hour once a week, open the letter, read the new number, immediately grab my phone and change the contact number in the phone. And then I can discard the letter. If it had personal information, I would want to shred it. If it was just a generic letter with nothing important or sensitive information, it could be recycled. And we'll talk about an easy way to get your personal information off of these documents in a little bit. So where would I look for it? Now, the next time I go to call the bank, if I'm using it for my contacts, it's already been updated. I don't have to look for the letter. I don't have to remember it changed. So you maybe see how a little bit of a tweak in how we are addressing some of these papers can make all the difference for quite a bit of it. So very excited about it. Yay. Okay, so 3 questions. In fact, before we move on, and I'll give you that staggering statistic in just a minute, let's just recap because we're not going to solve all the papers, but the 3 questions can solve a lot. What is this paper telling me? Is it easily available elsewhere? And where would I look for it? Because if you're going to keep it, I want you to be able to reference it again. Otherwise, why did we save it? All right, well, we're going to do a little drum roll now because I'm going to share with you a staggering statistic that 90% of the papers we keep are never referenced again. 90%. And in fact, newer surveys have actually brought that number a little bit higher. So somewhere around 90% of the papers we keep, we're never even looking at them again. So think about if you went to physical therapy and they gave you maybe a little chart of exercises, you've done the exercises and then we save the chart. We're clipping out recipes, or maybe that's just me clipping out recipes that I never prepare, brochures and summer concert series, but you've transferred the information onto your calendar. So this is where, again, we're going to kind of go through those questions because I did receive a little newsletter from the town that had some different events that were happening over the summer, including the summer concert series. But what happened last year is I didn't move that information onto my calendar. So I missed every one of the concerts because I wasn't looking at the flyer. So where would I look for the information? So key. All right, let's continue on as we're welcoming in some new friends that are just joining us. You're in perfect time. We have not gotten to the list yet. So we're going to look at what to keep and what to shred. And before we get there, I just want to remind you that I am not a lawyer. I'm not an estate planner. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not a CPA. And so I am a professional organizer who did a tremendous amount of research when I wrote my newest book titled Keep This, Toss That. But I want to let you know, I am not here to say, get rid of all your papers. I don't think we can go paperless. I want you to have a comfort level, keeping the things that make you feel comfortable in case you need them. And then I would love for them to be organized in a way that you can find them again if and when you needed them. That's really my goal. I'm not here to tell you get rid of everything. So I'm going to share with you from an organizational standpoint what my research has been, but I always suggest that you check with a qualified professional when it comes to legal and financial and tax things. So when we look at paperwork, the documents that you took to file taxes, which is not every monthly statement, right? It's those year-end statements. If you receive pay stubs, you didn't take every pay stub, you just took the W-2 at the end of the year. So the documents that you would take to file taxes, or the documents you needed if you file taxes, the IRS here in the United States suggests that you keep them for 3 years at a minimum and 7 years just to be extra secure. In the event that you wanted to change a filing, they had a question, who knows? It just gives us the utmost security. So that's why there's this 7-year paper rule. Again, it's totally up to you. You might keep all of them. But as long as paying taxes, getting your refund, making the payment, everything's like all squared away, then 7 years feels like a comfortable length of time. However, if there's some issue happening, then I would save everything until it's resolved. And that's true of anything, taxes or anything else. So 7-year paper rule when it comes to the tax paperwork, which is just what you use to file the taxes. If you own a vehicle, so if you have a car, if you own a home, a vacation home, a timeshare, or if you're renting, I would keep the documents related to that for the length of time that you have the vehicle, or that you're in the rental, or that you own your home. We're going to get into a little bit more of a detailed list. So if you prefer a list format, don't worry, I've made you one. I'm a big fan of lists, so just hold on. But this is just sort of a general category of things. So the reason for that is when you go to sell your home, depending on where you live, you might need to prove upgrades or maintenance. There might be capital gains taxes. For your vehicle, it might be under warranty and you need to prove that you got, oil changes, or when you go to sell it, that you can give all the records over, or if you had some sort of a recall that was fixed, those types of things. Insurance policies, you want to keep them for the length of time that the insurance policy is active. And then if you use the policy, not necessarily health insurance, but other types of things, other policies that you may have made a claim on, I would maybe hold on to it a little bit longer than that because sometimes some of those things can come back. Personal identification documents. And again, I'm going to have a list for you, so stay tuned. And your, estate plan and your like will and final paperwork, that's going to be a lifetime. And then the last one on the list, which may be a little obscured on your screen, so I apologize. Anything that's offering you paperless, just reconsider keeping it. So if you receive a statement in the mail and it says go green, go paperless, sign up for no paper, get it digitally, or we're going to start charging you if you want the paper version, that is just a huge clue. It is a big clue saying to you, hey, listen, we are sending you a secondary copy for you to keep records that there's no like real reason for you to have unless it just makes you happy to have it. You might consider going paperless. So I always give the example. Growing up, my mom had a 4-drawer filing cabinet, and every month into every one of the manila file folders, she would put a statement. The water bill, the phone bill, the electric bill, right? And then at the end of the year, the whole thing was outdated. But if she needed to look at the water usage from last month, we didn't have sort of that immediate access to online accounts back then. So it made sense that she would want to keep her own set of records just in case. However, now, if you feel somewhat savvy on the internet or calling the 800 number, all of these things are readily available because the companies have to keep them for a lot longer than maybe you'd ever want to. So you might decide just for a personal choice, you're going to keep the newest statement only or 1 year worth of statements for no other reason than a year feels right, or 3 years of statements. But for those of us that have vintage statements, and let us know in the chat, do you have vintage statements? This would be like a phone bill from 1925, bank accounts for banks that are no longer even like a bank that's running. So let us know, do you have vintage paperwork? And this would be a great place to start. So we're going to get into our list in just a moment. Before we do, there is a product on the market. It's called Guard Your ID. Guard Your ID. This is just one brand. And if you are a shopper on the online store Amazon, it's their Prime Day today. So these items are a little bit of on a discount. But you can see the Amazon code if you like to shop on Amazon. If you're not a big Amazon shopper, you can find these in home stores and sometimes even in craft stores. It's called Guard Your ID, and it is a roller in a very thick ink, and it allows you to obscure sensitive information on documents and checks, and it even goes over glossy. So prescription bottles and catalogs and things like that. So it's called Guard Your ID. And I wanted to let you know that it's available in case it would be easier to roll over your information than it would be to have a huge pile of things to be shred. So you can roll over your identifying information and then simply recycle it. So let's get into some very like detailed categories. And then in just a bit, I'm going to offer you the opportunity to join us for a little teeny tiny tidy up where I'll start a timer. And if you wanted to go through a back of a file drawer, or if you wanted to work on any other, category of decluttering, this would be a great chance to do that. So we'll begin with financial. And one of the things that you might want to do is to start a little statements binder. So this is just a 3-ring binder, just a 3-ring binder like you would get for going back to school. Shop at home, you probably have a binder that you could repurpose. So you could put in some clear plastic sheet protectors. You could go ahead and add a little pencil pouch. You could add some pocketed folders or some tabbed dividers that have pockets, because I'm not hole punching anything. I'm not even sure where my hole punch is. Then if I use it, it's going to make confetti. Then I'm going to have to get out the vacuum, and I'm supposed to be filing, but now I'm vacuuming and it looks like we had a party in here because there's confetti everywhere. So I'm not hole punching anything, but you could use one 3-ring binder for basically your like financial picture. The way that I do it is with statements. So we're pretty much call it like the beginning to middle of July. So if you started now and went through maybe the end of August, every bill you pay, every statement you receive, you could take a copy of just the first page. So if you had a credit card bill, the extra pages about the charges and stuff don't matter. What matters is that first page because it's got the company name, the investment, the bank, the credit card, the utility. It's got all the information, their 800 number and their website and your account number. Then directly on that statement, I am writing, if I have an online account with them, the email address, the username, and the password. I'll write down the answers to the secret questions. I'll write down that 2-step verification, like they're going to send a code and the code will go to the email or to my phone number. So now I have a full picture. And for me, it gives me great peace of mind that in one place, not a filing cabinet, not in piles, in bags and things, one place, I can open up this binder and know all the accounts I have, the full financial picture. Also, because I do a lot of the bill paying for the household, it gives me great peace of mind that if I was not available, my husband can come to this little binder and know all the accounts and all the access, because he's not really too much with the computer. Like he's not even really sure how to turn it on, but someone could help him. Like it's just not his thing, right? He'd rather be out tinkering with his Ford Mustang that he's restoring. So I'd rather pay the bills than try to put that thing back together for sure. I can tell you that. So we've got our statement binder as an example. And if you're like, no, I don't want a binder, I like my files, or I would do an accordion file folder, or I'm going more paperless. And so I've archived this on my phone, but I don't need the paper. Great. Now there's probably someone saying, but Jamie, isn't that going to be all your personal information in one place? It sure is, which is why you could label it asparagus recipes and keep it in a safe place at home so that in the event you're having, a party and it's people that you don't necessarily trust, you don't know them that well, we don't want anyone, taking all your financial information. Not that I'm sure what they would do with it, but we want to keep you safe. So you can check online to see what you have access to. And I really surprised myself when I went online and I looked up like my different accounts and I could see going back 7, 10 years of statements. And it gave me great confidence to know I don't have to keep 7 years worth because they do. So I was able to really allow myself to start letting go of things that I was holding on tightly to because I knew I could get them easily and at no cost. So, a financial binder, I love it. So many of you are chiming in and saying something similar. Cheryl's got that, and Debbie loves the roller. Thank you so much for sharing with us. So financial is just one. You may have a folder or a another binder you could do for vehicles. So if you have your car, a boat, an RV, a motorcycle, a Ford Mustang you're putting back together, maybe it's a binder, maybe it's a file folder, and check online to see what you have access to. If you take your car into a dealership for maintenance and it's the only place you go, ask them. Oftentimes, their records, they're able to just give you a printout. When we purchased a car, we were able to get a printout from the previous owners of everything that had been done to the car. They didn't have to keep the records because they always went to the same place. So you can check with your mechanic or dealership to see, are they keeping the records? Then maybe you don't have to keep duplicates. But you might want to keep receipts and records for repairs and maintenance until you no longer own the vehicle. It just can really help, especially if you're turning it in at the end of a lease. Did you do all the things they said you needed to do? And sometimes you need to prove that. And then selling it to have all the records, you usually get a higher price for it because it shows how you've cared for it. So, vehicles is the next one on our list. And then comes medical. So I can tell you that when I walk into a doctor's office, I bring a different colored binder. It's red because I always sort of associate medical with red for some reason. Maybe you do too. And I would say that I walk in and it really is my own medical chart. So I'm keeping one for me, I'm keeping one for every family member, and I'm keeping one for our dog Delilah when she has to go to the vet. And it's not everything because, of course, it couldn't be, it would be huge. But when I walk out of the doctor's office, when I finish paying and checking out, I just ask them for a copy of the notes from that day. And I've got a business card. I've got the most accurate blood work and the one prior to that so we can compare them. I've got specialist business cards and who saw which doctor when. It's all just there. So when they say, when did you have this done? Something else I keep right in the front of the medical binder is a copy of that form that they usually make you fill out all the time about the different things, like who medical history and who had this when and all of that. So I love we've got some questions coming in about how to keep this safe. And in just a moment, I have the answer to that. So thank you for thinking ahead and stay tuned. It's coming up. So again, check online because if you have access to a My Chart or an online chart or a doctor patient portal, so much of what you might be keeping in paperwork is actually easily available. If you don't log on online, if you can't print out your lab results, then you're probably going to want to keep the paper version, or maybe you want to keep the paper version also. But we want to know where it is. It's just so frustrating to hold on to stuff. And then when you need it, you can't find it anyway. And then you end up going to get it somewhere else. All right, so we'll continue on from here. I hope this has already been super helpful and you might be getting excited about that timed moment. So stay tuned because we'll certainly be doing that in just a bit. If you are renting or if you have a home, a vacation home, you might want a home binder. Again, we're talking about something like a 3-ring binder, but this is where you're keeping receipts and records for maintenance and upgrades, paint colors for rooms, and who you used for plumbing or electrical. And if you are going to be selling a home, then I would probably keep records related to the sale. Plus 3 years is usually a good length of time, but your closing attorney can help you determine what that good time frame would be. Just in case something comes back, you'll have all your records. So there you go. All right. And then personal. So in just a moment, there's going to be a handful of slides that are going to have some bullet pointed lists. Should you wish to take a picture of the screen, you're welcome to do so. No one's videos but mine is appearing on the screen, so you're welcome to do that. If you own a copy of Keep This, Toss That, it's already in the book for you, so you don't need to do that unless you want to. So we're storing our personal documents in a safe location, which was brought up in some of the questions. So we're going to look at how we can do that easily from home. And we do want to make them easy to grab and go. If you've been watching any of the weather or the news, you just know how quickly things in your area can change. Just the other evening, there was an issue with the building next door to me, and it was late at night, and the fire and police responded, and they asked us to leave our home until they could figure out what was happening. Thankfully, everything was okay, but you just never know. And to give yourself that peace of mind, we're going to talk about how to make these documents easy to grab and go. So let's take a look at some personal lists, and then we're going to take that moment to do a little decluttering together. To answer the question that came up about how to make sure that in the event something happens, our documents are kept safe, there's really a few different options. The first one that comes to mind is a bank deposit box, which is a very common choice. I'll just say that I don't know if it's the choice that you would prefer. And that's because it usually has a yearly fee to keep your items in the bank. Items in the bank deposit are usually not, protected under any sort of insurance. So you definitely want to check on that. In addition to that, if you needed to leave your home in the middle of the night or on a weekend and the bank was closed, you can't get your documents. And then finally, if you're not available and someone else needed to get your documents, they're not going to be allowed into the bank unless they're on some sorts of documents and things. So it's not like you can just say to, a family member, hey, the key is over here, go get it. It's not like that when it's in a bank. So if you would prefer to have your documents at home so you can grab and go whenever they're needed, here are a few different options. I've highlighted 3 for you. So I actually have all 3 of these products and I'll tell you how I use them. The first one is a little pouch. So it's just a little pouch. And the way that I use this is for those personal identifying documents. Like I had to go for my driver's license. I was able to take the pouch. I had everything that I needed. And we'll look at what's included there, but it's things like birth certificate and marriage license, if that, applies. So that is a pouch. It is fire resistant and watertight. You could still file it in a filing cabinet. However, you might prefer to keep it in your grab and go bag in the event that you needed to leave your home in an emergency. If a pouch doesn't seem like it's going to be large enough, for example, if you're putting a lot of things into a binder, the binder will not fit in the pouch. And so that more sort of a messenger style bag, the one that has the reflective strip and it's a black bag, that is a messenger style bag. So that would fit a variety of binders, additional items as well. So if you had more than just papers, that would be great for that. And then the last one on the screen is a true file box. The brand happens to be Sentry, S-E-N-T-R-Y, Sentry, S-E-N-T-R-Y. There are others. You just want to be sure they have really good reviews. I would say, though, that it's about 40 pounds, I believe. So in the event of an emergency, I'm not like carrying that down the street with me, which is why the others are more portable and a lot more lightweight. But if you had other things that you wanted to keep secure at home, that would be helpful. If you tend to lose keys, the last one is the one that has a key. The other 2 don't have keys, but you could add locks to them if you wanted to. So we hope that they wouldn't be stolen. I would suggest, disguising them at home. So if you came to my house, you would find this Sentry file box in an ottoman that has blankets on top. So if you lifted up the ottoman lid, you'd think it was just throw blankets in the living room, but it's not. So, as with anything, we want to keep it safe. All right. I hope that helps. And Let's jump into some of those lists. So there are just some vital documents. I know the list looks very long. The chances of you having everything on this list, it's kind of slim. I don't think you'll have everything, although you may. But we're looking for those vital documents. So your birth certificate, if your birth certificate is in another language, you may have had a notarized translation, so you'll want that too. If you have a business, you may have formation documents like incorporated or LLC documents. Citizenship or naturalization papers, death certificates for those that have predeceased you. Do you have to have it? No. If you don't have one for someone that's passed, it's okay. It just can make it a lot easier when you need to prove, like, the lineage of different items. Divorce decree if it applies, a copy of your state ID or driver's license, the original one that's not expired, you're probably carrying with you, a firearms license if it applies, a marriage certificate, pre or post nuptials, military ID and or discharge paperwork. That'll go along with the last one on the list, your veteran's ID, passport, old and new, religious certificates, and social security card. So you probably don't want to carry your original social security card with you unless you need it for a specific reason. But then I would come home and put it away. I often tell the story of my uncle who won a all exclusive paid trip and almost missed it because he didn't have his passport and he couldn't get his passport because he didn't have his birth certificate, and he lives 3,000 miles from me. So he had to send me a letter notarized that I could go get his birth certificate. Then I had to overnight his birth certificate. Then he had to get a really fast passport, and he just made it on the trip. There have been other attendees of previous programs that have mentioned missing trips altogether because of lost passports. So we don't want that to happen for sure. So it's a pretty short list. I know it looks a little overwhelming, but you just check them off one by one as you find them. Make sure they're all still, correct and everything's in good order. And then we keep them for safekeeping. A couple of other documents, estate planning documents, like a durable power of attorney. And that's the one that allows someone to step in if you're not available and pay bills on your behalf. And advance directives. So that's going to be where you say to someone, these are the medical care that I would like if I'm not able to make that choice for myself. If you have a cemetery plot or deeds or prepaid funeral arrangements, and any sort of a will and additional documents like codicils. Your healthcare proxy, that's again the person that can say, these are the things that I would like done healthcare wise if I can't make those decisions for myself, and a copy of any medical insurances. And then the insurance policy itself, which is sometimes like 100 pages. And we don't actually need to keep all 100 pages safe. The most important page is usually like the third or fourth page, and it says declarations right across the top. Declarations. And it is just a summary of the policy on one page. And that's the one that's the most important. So for auto and collectible, renter or home, life, long-term health, dental, disability, umbrella policies, and pet insurance as well, which is all a big mouthful. But my best guess is you already know which insurance policies you have. We just want to gather them together and keep things organized. And then finally, we're looking at financial. So if you have appraisals of personal property, a list of bank accounts, or one of every statement in your statement binder, certificates of authenticity for different collectibles and things you may have, a list of current credit cards, a list of investment. And a lot of this probably exists if you use an accountant or with your bank. So it already exists. It's just if you want to pull it all together. If you have paper bonds or stock certificates, this would be a great time to go on a scavenger hunt and make sure you have the paper copy. Sometimes they were issued as a paper copy one time, and it can be a lot of time and effort and sometimes money to have them reissued. So it'd be great if we can find them if you know you have them. Receipts for valuables, and that would mostly be in case something was ruined and for insurance purposes you needed to prove it. Retirement account or pension documents, and social security statement. So the most recent one will do. And then the tax return, we talked about those documents you take to file taxes or any receipts for like donations that you may have made. And 7 years is a good window. You might prefer longer. So we've got some financial documents as well. So hopefully now we're going, oh yeah, okay. A lot of what I have in the file drawer is outdated, or it's old articles I've clipped, or recipes I'll never make. It's information I've held onto. It's information for bank accounts that no longer exist and really old stuff. And that's where I'd suggest that you begin. If you begin with the newer stuff, it's like, well, I need it. So there's not much to let go of. But when you can make progress really fast by going to a really old filing cabinet drawer and finding stuff like articles you're not going to read or you don't need, or outdated brochures and things, you can make quick progress fast, which can be super motivational. So our last one, if you want to take a look for your home, is going to be a lease if you're renting, a mortgage statement, or a paid off letter. So if you've ever paid off a mortgage or a car or a loan, they give you a notarized letter usually that says you don't owe us any more money. That's a really good letter to keep. Warranty documentation for anything that's under warranty. Vehicles, registration, copy, of course, you're carrying the original, titles for all the vehicles, receipts for the maintenance, and then for your pet, current photo, microchip information, and license and vaccination records. There you go. All right, so we're just going to scroll back for a moment. And this was our safekeeping list. So if anyone needed those Amazon links, you can take a quick shot now. And then we're going to look at the list. And then it's going to be time to do a little decluttering together. So think about where you'd like to begin. So for Susan or anyone else that needs this vital list, there you go. So maybe start thinking about, in a few minutes that we're going to have together, would you like to look at something in your to be read pile or catalogs? Is there a file drawer you'd like to go to the way back of and pull a file from? And if paperwork isn't right for you to tackle right now, maybe you're sort of more seated with us. Maybe you'll do a little deleting of some emails. That's another great way to make some progress digitally, which definitely counts as well. So any project that's calling your name, paperwork or otherwise, if you'd like to think about what you want to work on, hopefully this was long enough for you to grab a snapshot of that one. And then here is our estates documents as well. Is everyone excited to get started? I'm going to start that timer in just a bit. So think about where you want to work. And the most important part is that you want to make progress, not more piles. So what can happen is during our timed moment, you can start to sort papers out. I've got to read this. I've got to fill this out. I've got to figure out what this is. And my invitation to you is to do that now. Instead of making more piles, let's actually make that progress. So if you'd like to join us for just a little teeny tidy up moment, it's never really long, but hopefully it's long enough that you can make some progress with us, because again, our most favorite part. So if you'd like to join us, it is 7:40 New Jersey time. We're going to take 5 minutes now. We'll begin in 3, 2, 1, and go. Timer's ticking. Let's see which papers you can find to sort through, discard, shred, read, process. We're going to take 5 minutes on our timer. Please join us if you'd like to. We'd love to have you join. Timer's ticking. Timer's ticking. Can you find something to discard, let go of? A recipe you'll never prepare? Article you don't need? Gather some of those documents together so you feel more buttoned up and put together. Four minutes to go. So you're 1 minute in with 4 minutes left. 4 minutes on our timer. Timer's ticking. Three minutes and 30 seconds as our timer ticks away. Did you find something else to let go of, read something, process something? And we are now going to be officially halfway through that 5-minute moment. So maybe you opened mail or discarded a menu for a local restaurant that's no longer available. Maybe the restaurant's no longer there, so we don't need the menu. 2 minutes and 22 seconds. 2-minute warning. You've got 2 minutes left on that timer. As a reminder, with the webinar, we're not able to see each other, so please use the chat. I'm cheering you on as you're processing papers. 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. A quick reminder, in a webinar, we can't see each other or have you unmute your microphone, but chat is available. Final minute. How's it going? I hope it's going really well. Final minute, 60 seconds to decide about another paper. Timer's ticking. If you're deleting emails, keep hitting the delete button. 50 seconds to go. Final 30 seconds. And we're down. We can count it down together if you'd like to. Join me as we count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are done. That's our jazzy timer celebrating a win with us. And we'll do a little celebratory dance. So yay, everyone. That was so great. I'm clapping for you. Certainly 5 minutes is not enough time to tackle years of paperwork, right? But it gets us started. And maybe what you noticed is 5 minutes was longer than you were expecting. So going forward, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, instead of waiting until you've got a whole week or a whole weekend or a whole day to deal with papers, which honestly doesn't tend to go as well, in my opinion, because there's so many papers to read and it's so time consuming and you have to decide and there's so many decisions and then you get decision fatigue and you don't even want to look at another paper. So I don't actually find that whole days are as useful as these little short bursts of time. And in just a bit, I'll share a strategy with you to hopefully stay more on top of the papers that are coming in. So congratulations if you were able to join us for that timed moment, whatever you did. And we'd like to know what you did if you'd like to share it in the chat. It's always optional, but we love to just join us there and tell us. So here we go. Yep. We are looking at files for cars no longer owned, outdated policies. Marcia said, so long, so long, so long. I love it. If you'd like to repeat anything, don't worry. We're going to do a little recap at the end. So I'd be very happy to show you everything. We're going to continue moving on and then we'll do a little recap. So if you missed anything or want to see it again, it'll be there for you. Quick reminder, this is a webinar, so we can't see or hear you, but the chat's open. The Q&A is also up. So if you'd like to ask a question that way, please do. Denise found email notifications from orders that were delivered from 2019. So I love that. Thinned those piles out. Why do we keep those articles to read later? I couldn't agree more. Yep, setting that clock 2 times a week to go through the papers. Laura, that's inspiring. Everyone's getting stuff done. Way to go, Jane. This is incredible. It's one of my favorite parts of getting together on this monthly basis here through our awesome Chelmsford Library. The fact that we're just like doing this together and we're not alone and we have the accountability of being here. It's one of my favorite evenings. So I hope you're going to come back on August 7th. Well, here's something that I suggest we don't toss, and that's going to be sentimental items. Stores are all over. You can order stuff online and have it delivered in a few hours, right? But a greeting card where someone signed their name and they're special to you for some reason, we can't duplicate that. So that's the kind of thing that I would absolutely encourage you to hold on to, at least for now. You might change your mind later, but as we're going through papers, so that you don't have any moment that you regret letting something go, I would just pop them into a box, keep all the treasured things, and keep going. That's what I would highly suggest. So very excited about this one. Sentimental papers. You're talking greeting cards and handwritten family recipes. Those are some of my most prized pieces. Some of those family recipes are actually in that secure bin in case I needed to leave quickly. I still have at least one from everyone that wrote something special. Letters and postcards and even old address books, because if you at any point start to do any genealogy in the family, those old address books can be really helpful about figuring out friends and family and things. So where are we going to keep these sentimental items? It depends. It depends on how many you have. It depends on what level of sentimentality there is. For example, I mentioned a few of those recipes are in the pouch in case I needed to leave my home. I like to have the actual card. Someone else may say, well, I'll just take a picture of it. I don't need the actual item. For me, I like to actually have what someone else held, but that's just a me thing. So yeah, little by little, I would just say for now, gather them together in some sort of a bin or a box, a single drawer. Shop at home. You probably have something that you can repurpose for storage, decorative hat boxes or some other containers. And then we can start to figure out how much you're going to hold on to and what you're going to keep. I ended up with one greeting card from every special person in my life, the one where they wrote the most, unique and special thing, or if they just signed their name, but that's the only thing I had from them. But why not take a walk down memory lane? It can be really hot outside, staying indoors in some air conditioning and, sending pictures. I'll send pictures of things, text them to my sisters and say, look, mom wrote this or dad said this and all of that sort of a thing. So Beatrice and I are of the same mind. We love shopping at home instead of rushing out to buy a new container, seeing what we can already use that we have. I absolutely love that. So yay. All right. Melissa's wondering, what do you recommend to do with all the miscellaneous little notes that you want to remember? Oh, great question. So it probably won't come as a surprise that I'm going to pull out another 3-ring binder. This is just a me thing, but you can do a binder with A to Z tabs. You could also do an old address book that doesn't have a lot of addresses in it. So it already has the A to Z tabs being an address book. So Melissa's asking about that. The way I use them is, let's say someone gives me a show to watch. Under T for TV, I can put it in there. Someone gives me a gardening tip. Under G for gardening, I can put it in there. Someone mentions like, oh, if you go to this day trip, it's a great day trip idea. Under D, I can put day trip. A cleaning tip under C, because I've got all these little bits of information and I just make one single book out of them. But the way I do it is alphabetical. You could do it by category too. That would be a different way to do it. Yes, we're absolutely going to circle back to those lists. It sounds like that would be really helpful. So we'll do that in just a bit because I know we're going to have to close out. It does take a long time to go through these things, but if it's special and you take a walk down memory lane, just go for it. So I love that so many of you are telling us what you got rid of. It's so inspiring to just be free from all the stuff. So yeah, it's such a weight, right? The paper can be such a weight. All right. Well, as we wrap up, and then we'll circle back in case you want to see any of those lists again. I know there's been a few requests. archiving. So this might be a step that we're missing, and it might just be the key to staying somewhat clutter-free when it comes to paper. And it's the idea of archiving. So for me, one time a year, which is usually in the spring around taxes, I archive the old year. This is what businesses do. I'm assuming libraries probably do a similar thing. So we're archiving. So the idea that you maybe have a file drawer in a kitchen or a desk or with your current files. Well, next year, you're not going to need all of those with that easy access. So you could box those up, put them a little bit away so they're accessible, but not as easy to access, which frees up the drawer for everyday stuff. Otherwise, the drawer stays cluttered. Now it's full. Now we make piles. Then we make the next year's piles. And all of a sudden, we have piles everywhere. So archiving, I think, might be a step that we've missed along the way. So I definitely wanted to highlight that for you. And then in office hours. So once a week, does it have to be a whole hour? I don't think so. But you'll see how long you need to actually process the papers and catch up on the activities related to running your life. And it's probably no surprise that there's a lot of activities related to running a very full life. Register for this and sign up for that and follow up on this and start the party planning for this and process the paperwork for this and pay this bill. There's just a lot going on. So a dedicated time where we're working on this can be just the strategy we need to stay on top of it. So read the to be read pile, process the mail. An office hour can be just what you need. You're running a life. You need an office hour, in my opinion. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know you have a lot of choices as to how you spend your time. And the fact that you took an hour to spend it here with us, it just means so much. So thank you very much for spending some time with us. We do hope to see you next month. And I want to remind you that this entire series, this monthly series, is brought to us by the awesome Chelmsford Library. You can find them at chelmsfordlibrary.org. The Friends do so much for the library. See what they have going on at chelmsfordlibraryfriends.org. You can get a library card and borrow museum passes. There's summer reading and summer concerts. And of course, there's the Library of Things and the Fix It Clinic. So libraries, you don't just have to borrow books. There's so much more. And we can fix things so they don't end up in the landfill and we can save money. I see all the lovely comments coming in the chat. So thank you. You can follow me at jamienovak.com where you can see more information about the book and print a free calendar, listen to the podcast, and all sorts of things like sign up for the newsletter. So for Just Becoming Friends, please pop over to jamienovak.com. And mark your calendar. We'll be getting together on August 7th for how to sell your stuff, followed by fall cleaning and holiday prep, recipes and cookbooks, and a little bit of kitchen thrown in there, things to do before the holidays, and what guests notice first. So we have a full calendar of events coming up. It's the first Thursday of every month. So we do hope to see you next month. I'm going to roll back in our slideshow to give you those blue lists again. We began with the Amazon products. So there it is. And I will put these lists up. So I'll scroll through them slowly as I answer a question that came in about that organizing notes. So you can do it, Karen, in a binder with A to Z tabs. You could also do it in an old address book because it already has A to Z tabs. So cleaning tips in C and TV shows in T and restaurants to try in R and just all like donation ideas under D and day trips under D. And I just put it all in the same book. And then I keep the book for year after year after year. Yeah, Laura, it's so true. You're running a life, right? And as much as we wish it was paperless, yep, that's a great takeaway quote. Thanks for highlighting that one for us. So many great ideas that many of you are sharing what you are doing. So we're getting takeaways from you as well, which we love. We're going to move on from this slide to the next. And if you need anything, just, let me know. I'm happy to scroll back on it. So excited to see everyone's lovely comments. And again, if this was your first time, we warmly welcome you and invite you to come back. If you've been joining us for a few months, come on back so we can keep punching your frequent flyer card and have you join us. All right, so let's see. Oh, Edna's mentioning that she has her personal items in a baggie. Should they go into a pouch? I mean, I don't know. I guess test it. So if you're doing it like in a Ziploc bag, I think the pouch is sturdier and the pouch is fire resistant. Your baggie is not going to be that. So if it was me, Edna, I would, just for all the reasons to keep things safe. Because I don't even know how waterproof those bags are, but the fire piece is the other, and the durability of it, right? Because a little tear in the baggie versus a very thick insulated pouch, it's very different. So, Joe, thanks for highlighting those upcoming programs. I hope that helps everyone decide. Oh, I love that, Vivian. Mom's correspondence in a cool round hat box. Yes, shop at home, use those boxes, because what else are they really like useful for? Because a round is such an unusual shape. But then it's special too, and it's almost like decor and special items. So thank you. Joe's asking about booking me. I think if you belong to a club or an organization, a corporation that does lunch and learns, or if this isn't your library and you wanted to see if I could come to your library, you can reach out at jamie@jamienovak.com. That's my email, jamie@jamienovak.com to inquire. So thanks for asking. If you were thinking I could give a presentation for your group or something, that would be lovely. So thank you for asking. We're moving on to the next list in case you're grabbing snapshots. And then we're going to have to wrap. So a quick reminder, this is a webinar, which means we can't see or hear you. So, but please do use the chat or Q&A if that's available to you. And then you asked about the upcoming dates, and here they are. So please do mark your calendar and you can see all of that. So Barbara, there you go. And yep, Denise, I agree. The pouch bag. Yeah, it's just it's ready to go, right? So when we do the presentations on getting ready for an emergency with that little backpack that you could walk out of your home with that had everything you needed to survive, you know, having these documents there is a really good place, or easily accessible to grab and go. So we never really like to think about those emergency situations, but it's kind of always on your mind until you prepare. And then you prepare and you're like, I'm prepared. So there you go. Yay, yes. Oh, I love that this is really helpful. Joy, it is doable. We're doing it. We're doing it. So thank you so much. I love that my approach is working for you. So I appreciate that feedback. Carol's asking, do you need to register for each of the sessions individually? Yes, you do. And so I hope that that works. Sorry to make you do a couple of extra clicks, but it's each one individually. So yes, you want the link to register. Hold on one second. I can stop our share and share that with you in the chat. So probably, let's see, hang on one second, and I will pop that in the chat for you. So here we go. If you go to August 7th here, okay. So we've listed them all together for you. So I'm going to put it in the chat. If you can click the blue link in the chat, it will take you there. So this is what it'll look like when you get there. So it's August, September, October, November, and December, all on one page. So if that's helpful, you can see everything right there. And you can also do it from the library's calendar as well. And Joe popped that in because he's always on top of things for us. So thank you for that, Joe. And so that'll get you right to the page where you can register for all of them. And if you have any trouble with them, you know, just let us know. Well, it's after 8 o'clock and we're going to get logged off. It is time to go, but hopefully you're going to go start a timer for 5 more minutes and sort some papers and then let us know how that went. Adair, always good to see you, Joe. Thank you for all of that you do in the chat to keep us up to date with those links. We're going to do this again the first Thursday in August, which is August 7th at 7 p.m. New York, New Jersey time. If you need anything, please reach out to me or to the library. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a clutter-free evening. Stay indoors, stay cool, and sort that paperwork. So